Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abubakar Sidiso. I was born in Republic of Guinea. I teach mathematics at Loyola University of Chicago presently. I am the author of The Mystery of the Conscience and the Power of the Negative. Surely the question that you will ask me is why this book, after having observed the existence of some real problems in our present world, like the complete divorce between science and religion, the hijacking of philosophy by ideology, the Cold War, capitalism versus socialism struggles of the past decades. I decided to develop a new philosophical method that I named Triad Law or Triad. This new approach is based on logical and mathematical reasoning. It is also free of any ideological tint. The Triad Law gives us the deep secrets to any positive evolution, the mystery of the conscience, and shows us the path to proper development of nations. This book has 3 goals. Its first goal is to enunciate and develop the structure of Triad Law, or simply Triad. The Triad Law considers that any being is made of 3 parts. These parts are the vow, the knowledge, and the possession. The being may be mineral, vegetable, animal, or human. It can be as small as an atom or as big as our solar system. Its second goal is to prove the existence and the smooth working of this law in all living beings, both in their static and dynamic forms. At this level, I used the wisdom of the philosopher Hermes, the religious Moses, and the scientist Mendeleev to show that these great people have already succeeded in enunciating the smooth working of this law in different life spheres. The final goal of the book is to use this law in learning how to lead a positive evolution, comprehending secrets of any life, and foreseeing the future. This book is addressed to politicians, scientists, theologians, philosophers, and ordinary citizens who may wish to understand the proper approach to unlocking the secrets of a life and evolution according to the Triad principles. Let's introduce the plan of study of the Triad Law. Let's define happiness and freedom to discover the Triad Law and its different states of soul. This law states that any life or evolution is made of 7 positive phases and 3 negative ones. We will link these states of soul to the signs of the planets. We know already that the 6 positive planets and the Sun are symbolically represented through the 7 days of the week. We will use the law of succession of the 7 days to show the path to follow to accomplish a positive evolution. We will use the periodic table of chemical elements to show that this law governs the 7 periods and 7 groups of the mineral world as well. This study will help us to find the deep secrets of all life. We will use the Hermes vision to show that this law rules the visible and invisible world. Finally, we will utilize this law in understanding the evolution of our humanity and the discovery of its 10 phases or signs. The evolution of a nation to show how to get rid of dictatorships, corruption, and chaos. The evolution of the universe to show that the 7 days of the creation are a simple representation of the 7 principal phases of the development of all being. To the zodiac to understand the meaning of its signs. To the cycle of mystery to get their messages. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready for this pleasant journey that will make that will make you discover the telling secrets of any evolution and life. Now, evolution of a nation. To accomplish a suitable development, any nation should get out of the negative before passing gradually through the 7 positive phases. These are the stairs of evolution. 1. Positive vow. 2. Positive activity. 3. Positive knowledge. 4. Positive power. 5. Positive possession. 6. Positive conscience. 7. Accomplishment. 8. Submission. 9. False happiness. 10. Shock and revolution. A nation is in a negative when its population is obliged to do what it does not want. There are 3 different types of nations according to their state of soul. The first group of people will be obliged to accept submission. We call this a dictatorship. A second group will lead a life of depravity or false happiness. This is the state of false happiness or depravity. A third group will decide to break with the constraining structure at any cost. This is the state of shock or revolt or revolution or degradation. The block of negative is made up of 3 societies of the negative and the first society of the positive. The dictatorship society, the society of depravity or false happiness, the society of revolt and revolution, the society of positive will. It is necessary to notice that more than half of the world's countries are in the negative. This study will help us to find the way to follow in order to get out of the negative. Let's start by presenting the structure of the negative and its dynamic in general. First, let us briefly describe the 3 phases of the negative and the first phase of the positive. Society of neutrality of the people. This society is characterized by the existence of a completely submissive population and a group of persons called party, clan, family, colonizers that exploit the people. Between these 2 groups, there is a third group of technicians that forms a very powerful repressive machine that works for the dictators. The societal production is oriented towards the satisfaction of needs of the repressive powers and dictators. No one can escape the control of the machine. The leader does not answer to the people. The population executes the vow of the leaders. There is no freedom of the press. Public information is geared towards the interest of the leaders. The educational system is structured to suit the ideology and interests of the leading class. Power is structured to go around within the privileged class. Economic and financial system is not properly structured, and as such, it does not exist. As a result, government accountability becomes a thing of fiction, and state fund is therefore mostly channeled towards satisfying the vanity of the ruling class. the justice system becomes unaccountable and corrupt, and big political prisons are built for the purpose of incarcerating or quieting political oppositions. And the process is perpetual. The leaders are above the law. Everything is done in the name of the people. Only the leaders have access to money, and therefore only they can make some misappropriation acts. In this society, there are three groups of interest. The interest of the real leaders, dictators or exploiters, the interests of the repressive machine, police, militia, army, state security, and the interests of the common people. This type of society exists all over the world. This is a closed society that works for the leaders that reside within or outside of the society. Its disintegration is always as a result of dissension between the members of the class in power, since the people is neutral. A dissension among leaders polarizes them and obliges the repressive machine to make its choice by cooperating with some of them against the others. The leaders can be in the same location or abroad. They can be of the same race with the submissive people or not, but the people always live with the repressive machine. The repressive machine can be composed of foreigners or locals. For these reasons, we will classify these dictatorship societies into four groups. In the first group, the leaders of the dictatorship are foreigners residing elsewhere. They also make use of foreign repressive machines that work for them and control the exploited society or population. They exploit the population with a very rudimentary technology. This is the case of pure colonization. In the second group, the leaders of the dictatorship are foreign conquerors. They install the repressive machine but reside within society indefinitely. They occupy the lands and stay forever. They build roads, housings, and factories and employ advanced technology. They establish segregation based on the differences of race, color, or religion. We call it a peopling colonization. In the third group, the leaders of the dictatorship are people that reside abroad. They make use of a repressive machine that is composed of indigenous people, also called autochthones. They install a monarch or a presidential system for the indigents that is based on their own system, neo-colonialization. In the fourth group, the leaders of the dictatorship can be indigenous and are working for themselves. However, they establish a repressive machine and segregation based on political, ethnic, religious, regional, or familial affiliations. This is a local dictatorship. In this society, there is no unemployment, since everyone is obliged to work for the dictatorship. This table presents the four groups of the dictatorship system. Society of depravity or false happiness. This is a society where the happiness of the people is reduced to short-term pleasure. The society may be formed from the phase of positive will when corruptible persons succeed in taking power through democratic means or by force. This society may also be formed at the end of the dictatorship when corruptible persons took over power. Initially, the new leadership starts liberating the people from any form of control and forced labor. And at the same time, the people stop to receive helps and subsidies from the new authority. The people feel freer and begin to discover the delights of the world. They start traveling abroad to have access to new opportunities, current information, and pleasures. They begin contemplating new horizons and become connected to new technologies and high consumptions. This is the formation of the society of big exchange, consumption, and commerce. The population stops taking care of the agricultural needs of its society. Some of the former members of the repressive machine in the previous administration may find their way back into the government and start to collaborate with the new regime, while the rest of their colleagues re-enter the society and join the private sector or become entrepreneurs. Those of them who succeed in finding their way back into the government will change their method of action and strategy. They become better equipped and formed. This becomes relatively easy to accomplish because they are now numerically smaller. Each of them works to position themselves well in order to maximize every opportunity that comes their way. In time, the lack of discipline and corruption-prone nature of the new administration will provide them the desired opportunity. This ushers in a new period of misappropriation of public funds, a system similar to the previous administration. And here comes the corruption, unemployment, illicit enrichment by the leaders, and the exhibition of their wealth. This is followed by a decrease in societal production, economic meltdown, and currency devaluation. As the wealth decreases, people will start struggling to maintain their standard of living in order to continue to live well. To achieve this, some section of the population will strive to create false positive situations by designing, creating, and perpetuating fraud and corruption in order to achieve a state of false happiness. And this marks the appearance of the state of bad conscience among the population. As things continue to tighten up, some from among the second section of the population, aware of their irresponsibility of the government and the resulting crushing hardship hitting the populace, becomes the brain of a new mafia. They, together with some of the known bad people, form a new band of criminals. Some of them use their old relationships with those in power to make money by misappropriating the public funds without any control. This is the emergence of new riches. In this society, becoming wealthy in a genuine and honest way becomes impossible because the system in place will never allow you to genuinely achieve success. The honest worker has no chance to success. The only justice that works is the one of the corrupt. The honest intellectuals live a life of desolation and depravity in order to forget their concerns. With a big number of unemployment, the population lives a life of deprivation. This society is characterized by the existence of general deprivation at all levels. Drug, alcohol, corruption, injustice, robbery, unemployment, and insecurity become the order of the day. This is a system which is very easy to build and perpetuate with a lack of economic production and mounting unrest among the population. The leadership attempts to return the population to a dictatorship. They will institute constraining and anti-democratic structures such as pressures on the opposition, state control of news information, and the intimidation and suppression of the population. It is possible to quit this system through genuine democratization of the society or through a revolution. If the population and the patriotic forces remain inactive, the leaders will re-establish the dictatorship. These leaders know that they will lose the power if they organize free, democratic, and transparent elections. Being aware of the consequences of their irresponsible leadership makes them never want to go. The administration tries to remain in power at any cost while looking out for their interests. They reinforce their individual securities and transfer their stolen funds to safe havens abroad. The society becomes a fully fledged dictatorship if the leaders systematically succeed in eliminating the opposition. This society can transform itself into a society of positive will if free and democratic elections are organized, which is impossible. This is why, over time, this society will pass to the phase of revolt, shock, and revolution. Society of revolt and revolution. In this society, we have a small group that takes advantage of the available resources, and a big, poor, and miserable majority of the population that has lost hope for a better future. There are only two acting groups: a leadership with a less powerful, unpopular, repressive machine, and the population. The population decides to end the situation of submission and depravity. The cause of the advent of a revolution is the fall in the standard of the living of the citizens and the hopelessness of a better future. Because of the nature of the politics of the society and the urgency of the crisis, the people are left with no better choice than to radically break with the existing structures and remove the leadership by force. This is marked by popular revolt, followed by general disobedience. This is the time of strikes, sabotage, non-submission, sometimes robberies, arson, deaths, and arrests until the removal of the leadership. As a result, the real power leaves the leadership and returns back to the people. At the beginning, the existing leadership will attempt to reprimand the population, but after excessive fights, it will lose and will disappear from the power wheels. This is the end of the revolt and the advent of revolution, and the people will start to find again for a better, brighter future. Note that if the popular disobedience does not succeed, this movement becomes just a revolt, and the leadership reprimands the rebels. The revolution allows the demolition of the existing power with all its structures. It can take place at the end of a dictatorship era. In this case, the support of the international community is necessary to form and support the rebels. It can also occur at the end of an era of depravity. The revolution allows the passage to the phase of positive vow if democratic patriots drive it. Once in power, these patriots should establish a democratic system, and the revolution will be called a democratic revolution. New dictators or other corrupt people can also usurp this revolution. For this reason, the population must be very vigilant to always control those that have the power. Revolution is necessary in non-democratic or pseudo-democratic societies. This is why the revolutions occur frequently in societies of depravity. Society of positive social will. This is a society where the vow of the leadership is in harmony with the one of the people, but there is a lack of material, financial, technical, and intellectual means to execute the vow of the people. This type of society is formed after the dictatorship or depravity phase, when new leaders arrive in power by using the democratic institutions. It can also be formed after a revolt, followed by a democratic revolution. The revolution allows the complete destruction of the former system and its replacement with a system where the leaders are elected democratically. The leaders arrive to power after the organization of transparent, free, and democratic elections. Then the justice system begins to become functional and freer. A democratically elected parliament is installed. The parliament, to be functional, must be endowed with a sufficient legislative power to be listened to and followed by the executive. The executive wants to fight to execute the program of the people. Each member of the society must be informed of the difficulties and the challenges to overcome. The separation of the power between the legislative and the executive and the judiciary is real and effective. All must work together in harmony with the new democratic laws. All of the societal problems and challenges are tackled and solved through the proper democratic channels and due process instead of by force or imposition. The liberty of the press is properly and fully restored, and information starts to flow correctly from the top to the people and vice versa. The management of the national economic and financial system becomes clear and healthy. It can experience poor level of professionalism and technical inefficiencies, but there is no case of fraud or robbery of public funds, and the corruption is under control. Finally, a healthy competition between the political parties, public and private sectors of the society is introduced. The justice system protects and defends the citizens by ensuring an equitable society. The citizens work honestly to make the society better and stronger. The level of the civic, judicial, and political conscience increases. The unemployment rate and the insecurity become lower, and hope rises in every citizen. The access to good education, primary health care, water, and electricity increases considerably. But the system might struggle, especially due to lack of sufficient material, technical, and financial means. If care is not taken, this might lead to instability and its dependence on the exterior. Therefore, it is often necessary to organize transparent, free, and democratic elections with a precise number of mandates in order to make this new democracy more dynamic. Being exhausted by the events, certain leaders will hang themselves to the system and try to transform the power into private property. Therefore, the people must be vigilant to avoid being fooled by the leaders. Sometimes, these leaders will try to modify the laws by telling others that they are the only capable hands, even though in reality they are exhausted. This situation occurs often in the newly democratic countries where the leaders accede to the power through free elections by promising even the impossible. Being politically finished, they will play on family, regional, ethnic, or religious affinities. They will attempt this game to stop the political competition, and if need be, they will cheat to win the election or cancel them entirely if the result does not favor its interest. For this reason, the people must fight for true democracy. This is the case in most of the developing countries where democracy is not fully rooted yet. This is why such a society can easily fall back again into dictatorship, depravity, or into civil war. But if the society is continued to be managed and governed by democratic principles, then national patriotism will rise again in each citizen. with sustainable political stability and a healthy economy, this society will experience economic expansion that will be followed by a positive outlook and mindset by the population. If the new trend is sustained with a series of well-meaning and minded administration, then a sustainable and productive democratic society becomes a reality. This is how this society will pass positively to the phase of positive activity. Part of Guinea and the dynamic of the negative. Let us use the three systems of the negative and the first system of the positive to describe the socio-political history of Guinea from the time of colonization to the present. In this slide, we have the four types of dictatorships, which are the pure colonization, people in colonization, neo-colonization, and local dictatorships. Let's add the society of false happiness, revolution, and positive will to further comprehend this dynamic. Block of the negative. From 1898 to 1958, Guinea lived under pure colonization. From 1958 to 1963, Guinea moved and stayed in the phase of positive will, as seen in 2 and 19. From 1964 to 1984, Guinea returned to local dictatorships, as seen in 12. From 1985 to 2008, Guinea became a corrupt system, as seen in 16. Since 2009, Guinea is trying to quit the corrupt system through some of the following steps. The first is its democratic move toward a society of positive will, as seen in 17. The second is its staying in the corrupt system or return to the dictatorship system, as seen in rows 13 and 15. The third is its passage to the revolt, revolution, or maybe chaos before going to the positive will, as seen in rows 8 and 19.
What you need to keep your country from the power of negativity. Building a society of a positive will, the first phase of any development of a country. Balance the power in the Constitution, respect the Constitution and all laws, create a mechanism of control for the three branches of government, respect human rights, the freedom of opinion, freedom of expression and freedom of the press. Hold free, democratic, transparent elections, and respect the verdict of the electorate. Respect the hierarchic order in the civil and military administration. Provide equal opportunities to all citizens regardless of gender, ethnicity, religion, or region. Reward the honest worker. Promote transparency in the management of public affairs. Make the judiciary system healthy and independent. Encourage citizens to denounce injustice, misappropriation of public funds, and bribery by public officials. Discourage any temptation to use forgery, drug trafficking, rigging of elections, ethnocentric nepotism, and regionalism. For the success of this work, we must all get involved individually and collectively by adopting a new behavior. Group involvement. For intellectuals, you must be above the ethnic, religious, or regional disparities. Work honestly and advocate merit, good work, and require a decent salary. For religious organizations, you must be independent of the government and politicians. You should have your own source of income. You should educate your followers and tell the truth to the rulers when the opportunity arises. For civic organizations, you must be vigilant, independent, and serve the people. You must resolve conflicts, denounce social injustices and excesses of the leaders. You must fight for the establishment of democracy, good governance, and improvement of the living conditions of workers. For the political parties, you educate and inform your members and supporters. Popularize your structures and maintain a good management. Do not be subjective to a person, an ethnic group, or a region or family. For the people in uniform, educate, inform, and organize your agents. Teach them how to serve the people, the nation, and not a person, an ethnic or group, a political party, or a region. Respect the hierarchy. Avoid emergence of ethnocentrism, favoritism, cronyism, corruption in your ranks, and fight for peace, security, and territorial integrity. And for the youth, your only place is in school. Respect the elders and protect the weak. Personal involvement. You should know that the people are the holders or owners of the power. By voting for a candidate, you give him the right to use your power of decision and action for a period of time. If he does not keep his promises, vote another candidate next time. You should also know that it's your money that your leaders are currently using. The debts they get will be paid by you or your son and grandson. If you see your leaders enrich themselves illegally, keep in mind that they are stealing your property. Vote according to your class interests. Vote for a visionary, inclusive, intellectual, democratic, and patriotic candidate. You have the right to belong to a political party of your choice. The Constitution guarantees that political parties either support government action or oppose it through legal channels and to propose alternative solutions. Be vigilant. Use your rights and perform your duties because no one will do it for you. The rights. There is freedom of assembly. All citizens have the right to form associations and companies to exercise collectively their political, economic, social, or cultural rights. All citizens have the right to express their views. The free exercise of religion is guaranteed, subject to compliance with the law and public order. Institutions and religious communities are created and administered freely. Everyone has the right to join unions of their choice and defend his rights through the trade union actions. Each worker has the right to participate through his delegates to the determination of working conditions. The right to agitate is recognized and should be exercised within the framework of laws that govern it. Freedom of movement. All citizens have the right to settle and travel in the territory of the Republic. All citizens have the right to enter and exit the public freely. The home is inviolable. It cannot be deprived unless conditions of grave and imminent peril or to avert a common danger to protect the lives of the people. Any other attack or search must be ordered by the judge or by the authority designated by law and in the manner prescribed by it. Property rights. Everyone is entitled to the protection of his privacy. The right to property is guaranteed. No property shall be expropriated except in the interest of all. Expropriation must be legally determined and subjected to fair and prior compensation. The secrecy of correspondence and communication is inviolable. Freedom of opinion and expression. Everyone is free to believe, think, and profess his religious faith, political views, and philosophy of life. He is free to express, manifest, and broadcast his ideas and opinions through speech, writing, or image. He is free to get information from accessible sources. The right of access to public information is guaranteed to any citizen. The freedom of press is guaranteed and protected. The creation of a newspaper for political, economic, social, cultural, or recreational, or scientific information is free. The duties. The behaviors to adopt in case of discrimination. All human beings are equal before the law. Men and women have equal rights. No one shall be favored or disadvantaged because of their sex, birth, race, ethnic language, beliefs, and political, philosophical, or religious opinions. Behavior to adopt in case of attempt of bribery. You must denounce and resist any attempts of corruption. Any case of corruption is illegal. Anyone who occupies a public office or exercises a public function is accountable for his activity and must respect the principle of neutrality of public service. He should not use his possession for purposes other than the interest of all. Behavior to adopt in case of arrest. No one shall be arrested, detained, or convicted except by a law enacted prior to the acts alleged against him, the grounds and in the manner provided by law. Everyone has the inalienable right to address the judge to enforce their rights against the state and its agents. Everyone charged with a crime is presumed innocent until proved guilty in a manner and in accordance with the law. All are entitled to a fair trial in which the right to defend oneself is guaranteed. The right to counsel is recognized from the moment of arrest or detention. Behavior to adopt in case of attempted torture and humiliation. The human person and dignity are sacred. The state has a duty to respect and protect them. The human being has the right to free development of his personality. He has a right to life, and no one shall be subjected to torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. No one is required to obey a manifestly illegal order. No one is entitled to order acts of torture, abuse, cruel, or degrading treatment. The civil rights. Every citizen has the duty to comply with the Constitution, its laws and regulations. Every citizen has a duty to participate in elections, to promote tolerance, the values of democracy, and to be loyal to the nation. Every citizen has a duty to respect the human person and the opinions of others. Each citizen must pay taxes to the extent of his capabilities. He must fulfill his social obligations for the common good, under the conditions determined by law. Every citizen has the sacred duty of defending the homeland. Public property is sacred and inviolable. Everyone must respect and protect them carefully. Any act of sabotage, vandalism, embezzlement, squandering, or illicit enrichment is punishable by law. Duties of the state. The state shall promote the well-being of citizens, protect and defend the rights of human beings and human rights defenders. It oversees the pluralism of opinions and of sources of information. It ensures everyone's safety and the maintenance of public order. It ensures continuity of institutions and public services while respecting the Constitution. It guarantees equal access to public employment. It provides education of the youth. The state has a duty to ensure the broadcasting and teaching of the Constitution, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, as well as all duly ratified international instruments concerning human rights. The state must also broadcast in the national languages in all means of mass communication. This applies to radio and television, broadcasting, and educational means. What to avoid? Build a dictator. Establish corruption. Establish ethnocentrism, regionalism, nepotism, colonialism, favoritism, advocating lies and mediocrity. To elect a candidate who wants to get rich, to revenge, or boasted, or without a program, or is incompetent in public affairs.
Now, I would like to thank my parents, my teachers, my family, my friends, and the people of the Republic of Guinea, Russian Federation, and the United States of America for their contribution to my education and the publication of this work. To you, thanks for your attention. You can call us at 773-746-6489. 773-746-6489. You can send an email at ebosow@yahoo.com. ABOSOW@yahoo.com.